What if everything you were taught about saving is quietly keeping you broke? You know the feeling, right? You finally do the responsible thing. You put a little money away every month. You feel financially mature. But here's the harsh truth. You literally cannot save your way to financial freedom. You can, however, turn your savings into a wealth-building machine, and you can start with just a few $100s. In this explainer, we're breaking down a really simple 5-step transition that almost nobody makes.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Storing your money in a traditional low-interest savings jar? It's kind of a financial trap. Don't get me wrong, saving is undeniably a good thing. But saving alone is almost never going to make you wealthy. Why? Well, while your money is just sitting there doing nothing, inflation is actively eating away at its purchasing power. It's moving backward while standing still.
Let me show you exactly what I mean here. Imagine you've worked super hard to save up $10,000. You do the quote-unquote right thing and put it in a standard savings account earning, let's say, about 0.5% in interest. After an entire year of leaving that money untouched, of being incredibly disciplined, you know what you've made? Exactly $50. That's it. Meanwhile, you keep hearing your friends, the news, everyone on the internet talking about stocks, index funds, and the magic of compound growth. And you look at your $50 and start wondering, wait, am I doing this completely wrong?
To fix this, we need a fundamental mindset shift. We have to separate protecting money from growing money. These are two completely different jobs. A savings account's job is protection, keeping your cash safe, accessible, totally liquid. But the job of investing? That's growth. If you try to use a savings account to actually grow your wealth, you're basically using a hammer to turn a screw. It's just the wrong tool for the job.
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. Look at the raw math. Take that same $10,000 and leave it alone for 20 years. In a savings account earning a pretty generous 1%, you'd walk away with about $12,200 after 2 decades. But invest that same 10 grand into the stock market, say the S&P 500, which historically returns about 10% on average over long periods, and it transforms into roughly $67,000. It's the exact same starting money, but a completely different outcome. The biggest wealth gap in the world isn't between savers and spenders, it's actually between savers and investors.
Now you might be thinking, well, I don't have a giant lump sum to start with. That's totally fine. Say you put away just $300 a month for 25 years. Just saving it in cash yields around $97,000. But investing it at an 8% average return, that yields roughly $285,000. And here is the truly shocking part. Out of that whole $285 grand, you only contributed $90,000 out of your own pocket. The remaining $195,000, that is pure, relentless compound growth working around the clock in your favor.
So, if the math is so overwhelmingly clear, why doesn't everyone just do it? Well, it's simple. Saving feels safe, and investing feels risky. This is the massive psychological barrier that stops people dead in their tracks. It's completely understandable. Savings accounts don't randomly drop 5% on a random Tuesday afternoon, right? Investments fluctuate. They go up, and yes, sometimes they go down. That emotional volatility is terrifying for sure, but avoiding it completely is exactly what keeps you broke.
Think of it like this. Actually, scratch the tools analogy. It's more like seeds. Saving money is like putting seeds in a glass jar on your shelf. You're protecting them. They're totally safe from the elements, the birds, the weather. But nothing grows in a glass jar. Investing is taking those exact same seeds and planting them out in the soil. At first, it looks messy. It's covered in dirt. You don't see immediate results. And yeah, you're going to have to weather a few storms. But over time, because it's in the right environment, it grows into a massive forest that is far, far bigger than the original seeds you started with.
So how do we safely make that transition? Here is the simple 5-step path to go from saver to investor. 1. Build an emergency fund. 2. Use a 2-bucket system. 3. Start small. 4. Keep it simple. And 5. Stay disciplined. Let's break these down. First up, step 1. Before you invest a single dollar, you need a real emergency fund. We're talking 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved in cash, sitting right there in your standard savings account. This is absolutely not investment money. It's not for taking advantage of a hot stock tip you heard from a buddy. This money is for unexpected life problems, a sudden job loss, a medical emergency, a busted transmission. The reason this is step 1 is vital. The biggest reason people lose money in the stock market is because life happens, they need cash immediately, and they are forced to panic sell their investments at the worst possible time. An emergency fund literally protects your investments from your own life. So the crucial point is really mastering step 2, adopting a 2-bucket system. You have to mentally separate your money to reduce your anxiety. Bucket 1 is your safety money, that cash emergency fund we just talked about that lets you sleep at night. Bucket 2 is your growth money. Once you mentally accept that Bucket 2's specific job is just to ride the waves of the market and grow over decades, that day-to-day volatility completely stops being scary. Which leads us to step 3, start small. You absolutely do not need thousands of dollars to be an investor. Today, practically any brokerage platform out there will let you start with just $50 or $100 a month. The goal right now isn't to make massive profits by tomorrow. It's simply about building the muscle, the habit of transferring money from your checking account into an investment account. Honestly, habits matter infinitely more than trying to perfectly time the market.
Step 4. Keep it simple. This is where beginners often trip up. They think they need to jump straight into day trading or complicated options or wild crypto speculation. You don't need any of that. Just use index funds. By tracking the overall stock market, like the S&P 500, you're basically buying a tiny slice of hundreds of the top companies all at once. It gives you instant diversification and steady long-term growth, and you never have to guess which individual company is going to win.
And hey, you don't just have to take my word for it. Warren Buffett, arguably the most legendary and successful investor in history, has repeatedly recommended low-cost index funds for the vast majority of regular investors. The honest truth that Wall Street doesn't really want to advertise is that the most powerful investing strategy is actually wonderfully boring. Consistent, simple investing outperforms complex, high-stress gambling almost every single time.
Finally, step 5, stay disciplined. Listen, the market is inevitably going to drop at some point. It's totally normal. But when it does, long-term investors actually benefit. That consistent $50 or $300 a month you're investing, suddenly it buys way more shares at a steep discount. It's literally like your favorite store having a massive clearance sale. Experienced investors don't panic during market dips. They stay calm because they are thinking in decades, not days. When you zoom out, it ultimately comes down to this: stability versus freedom. Saving money gives you a stable foundation, and you absolutely need that. But investing is what buys your freedom. You just cannot save your way to true wealth. But if you combine the stability of a cash emergency fund with the compounding power of the market, your financial future becomes pretty much unstoppable.
So, let me ask you, are you still stuck entirely in saving mode, or are you already out there investing? Like we've seen, you can't save your way to wealth. You just need $50 and the courage to plant those seeds in the soil. Let me know exactly where you are on your journey down in the comments. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.